in history, this is one of the first time in which humanity at large has been affected by this. This is not a moment of crisis in a city. This is a crisis of a scale which we cannot imagine. And it has also exposed us that we are so interdependent. We are interdependent for medicines, we are interdependent for masks, we are interdependent for ventilators, and it is true for most of the country. It's not that one country, one place produces. So interdependence is a reality. The other reality with this is climate change. We all know that the agrarian crisis was a reality, but the climate change is also a reality. And progressively we will find, to give you an example, that one of the reports were saying that as far as 60-70% of the construction industry is dependent on Narmada water in Gujarat, okay, which is like one river, and an entire state is suddenly dependent on that, is a very serious issue. Now one way to look at it would be that then shouldn't we look at the manner in which buildings are made, because there is a direct relationship between consumption of water and how construction happens. And 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 and, and why Narmada? Because obviously sweet water. As you go down, and at the same time, when you are in dry and arid regions, slowly there's a salinity ingress, and therefore there are other related problems with it, because if you will make bricks will have fluorescence. So there are a number of problems which are related to all of these. Now, the question, if I put another paradigm to it, would be that hand, mechanization, automation, and then artificial intelligence. If we look at these four modes of production that will start happening in course of time, and if we make hand as the center, then progressively from hand, when we reach to AI, we'll find that the making, in the process of making, the hand is peripheral. And when the hand becomes peripheral in the process of making, what it would eventually mean is that there is a disconnect between the bodily movement and what is happening on the ground. So we will have a civilization, we will have enormous amount of people who would be just typing on the screen, and things would be very different, which means the disjunct between the body and between what is actually being shaped in reality is a serious concern at one point of time. At another point of time, we also know the reality that we have adapted to times. So for example, one extreme argument could be say, okay, all the time we are on computer boards, but in the morning you do yoga, and in the evening you do exercise, so it is being taken care of. That's a specific way in which we look at our body. uh, and if we say, see, what is the reality? The reality is that the body is the only reality we have. I don't think there is any other reality, because it's the body that experiences. It is the body that does various kinds of actions. It is the body that exchanges information. So physical reality is the reality which is a fact, and body needs to engage in certain kind of a working. So for me, this is a question which I have been constantly dealing with, the fact that what is going to happen when a large section of population is constantly trying to do only typing, only trying to engage with this type. Now, because if we look at majority of the time, concrete is a reality, okay, but concrete is one of the most polluting material on this earth. Uh, so the question is, should we go back to the hunter-gatherer age? Should we accept the fact that for example, China's argument to say that, okay, yeah, environmental degradation, but yeah, we have, by doing this, at least we removed a billions of people out of poverty, and so let us follow a model which is a model where we will further sort of disrupt nature, and then try and build an economy out of it. I think that we have to really be careful. For a long time, we have never discussed built environment in our courses, right from early, from nursery to whatever. We discuss science, we discuss sociology, economics, anthropology. We have been discussing all of these, but we never discuss built environment in the manner in which we need to do. I think there is a serious problem when we don't reflect ourselves and confront with our own reality, and we borrow image, because when we borrow image it becomes piecemeal. So that's why we will be making one very high tower, perhaps one world class infrastructure of metros, or one, let's say, an airport, but we'll be not looking at things which are really on the ground. The curriculum and the pedagogy and the overall courses that runs within schools needs to be looked at it. So for example, not mind to sort of think about an NCRT textbook which talks about built environment, because otherwise architecture, especially architecture and built environment, comes at, or architecture at least comes in the domain of history, where it is merely looked as grandeur and intricate carving and fenestration and things of those kind, which is just a which is hardly a tip of an iceberg. Been always looking at cities as man-made, and so we don't even call it human-made for the timing, but we call it man-made now, which means that we have been aggressively putting ourselves and trying to rather be be dominating on the nature, rather to say that how do we subtly sit within the nature so that there is an interdependence which is possible. And I see that if that possibility happens at the bottom up, we'll have much more young innovative minds who would be doing ground level changes, because we are here talking about, I'm not seeing a time period of next 3 years, I'm seeing a time period of next 20 years. What kind of changes, what kind of population we need to have. And I think that is where we need to invest academically.